enter this league. We already know how it is. Okay, so we have to get into what Azzi Fudd had to say. All right. Here it says, watching Caitlin Clark dominate the WNBA is one thing, but seeing it through the eyes of a top draft pick, Azzi Fudd brings a whole new perspective. Okay, here it says, selected as the #1 overall pick in the 2026 WNBA draft by the Dallas Wings, Azzi Fudd has also been under huge pressure, and she hasn't had the best of luck finding herself sidelined for the rest of the.
Azzi Fudd, the Dallas Wings' #1 overall pick in the 2026 WNBA draft, drew attention recently for candid, positive comments about Caitlin Clark's play in the league. Fudd, who has been sidelined for the remainder of the season after undergoing arthroscopic knee surgery, spoke about her admiration for Clark's game in an interview with WFAA, noting that Clark's ability to create shots and play with composure at the professional level mirrors what she showed during her college career, calling it genuinely difficult to replicate and impressive to watch.
The 2026 WNBA season after undergoing arthroscopic surgery on her right knee. Now, we all know, listen, I think Azzi Fudd's a good player. I never felt like she should have been a #1 pick. I would have taken Olivia Miles any day of the week over her. I would have taken our fam any day of the week over her. Azzi Fudd's a good player. Shouldn't have been #1 pick. It is what it is. Now, let's get into what she actually had to say. Here it says, off the court, Paige Beckers and Azzi Fudd confirmed their romantic relationship, building on the bond they forged during their collegiate championship run.
The comments stood out given a broader pattern of mixed reactions and criticism directed at Clark from some corners of the league since she entered the WNBA. Fudd's remarks were viewed by some as a refreshing departure from that dynamic, particularly notable given her own background. She and current teammate and partner Paige Beckers played against Clark at the collegiate level during their time at UConn, giving Fudd direct experience competing against her.
Paige Beckers and Azzi Fudd confirmed their romantic relationship, building on the bond they forged during their collegiate championship run. That background includes head-to-head battles against Caitlin Clark, giving Fudd first-hand experience of competing against her at the highest level. And despite the outside noise on Clark and what WNBA players think of her, Fudd kept it real classy. Now, we know a lot of these players was haters, talking about she's the 11th, the 12th best guard, all of this stuff. Just nonsense, just complete nonsense and jealousy. Okay, here it says, Azzi Fudd gives Caitlin Clark her flowers in the WNBA. Some players' egos wouldn't allow them to give.
In her Wings debut against Clark's Indiana Fever, Fudd scored her first career WNBA basket on a corner three over a closing Clark, finishing with 3 points in limited bench minutes as Dallas pulled out a 107-104 win. Clark finished that game with 20 points, but missed several three-point attempts.
As Azzi Fudd gives Caitlin Clark her flowers in the WNBA. Some players' egos wouldn't allow them to give props to Caitlin Clark, but Azzi Fudd kept it 100% real in her assessment of the WNBA superstar. And when we say superstar, we mean superstar of the highest order. Here it says, speaking with WFAA on YouTube, she said, I mean, honestly, I feel like Caitlin is similar to how she was then in college. To what she's doing is difficult. So to see her create the way that she is, to hit the shots that she's hitting, to play with that poise, it's impressive. Debuting.
Separately, analysis from Yahoo Sports examined how Indiana's offense has functioned this season, particularly the way screening actions have opened things up for Clark. One point of discussion centered on the average distance from the basket where ball screens have been set for her, trending higher, around 27 feet in a recent matchup against Chicago, compared to 24-25 feet in the games prior, partly a response to Chicago's full-court pressure defense.
Is to hit the shots that she's hitting, to play with that poise, it's impressive. Debuting for the Dallas Wings against Clark's Indiana Fever, Fudd scored her very first WNBA basket on a corner three-pointer directly over a closing out Clark. Though Fudd played limited minutes off the bench and logged just 3 points, her Wings pulled off a thrilling 107-104 victory. Clark delivered a solid 20-point effort but missed the game-tying three. So, Azzi Fudd had nothing but good things to say about Caitlin Clark, which is nice. It seems like some of the younger generation is not acting like the hater.
Analysts also noted a contrast in screening effectiveness among Indiana's front-court players, with some regularly setting solid, physical screens, while another has been noted for often slipping screens rather than making contact, a distinction viewed as meaningfully affecting the flow of the offense depending on who's on the floor. Discussion also touched on Clark's evolving comfort operating inside the three-point arc.
Things to say about Caitlin Clark, which is nice. It seems like some of the younger generation is not acting like the hater WNBA vets who are upset that the league did not blow up because of them. They blew up because of Caitlin Clark, So, for her to say, hey, she's doing, a lot of the things she was doing in college. It's really difficult to see her create the way she is, hitting these shots she's hitting, playing with poise. Caitlin Clark is really, really impressive. So Azzi Fudd with nothing but good things to say about Caitlin Clark. So respect the Azzi Fudd for not being a bitter hater like 95% of this league, not named the.
Analysts noted that opposing defenses have shifted coverage strategies against her over her 3 seasons, from consistently doubling her as a rookie, to switching more frequently during her injury-shortened second season, to now mixing coverages given her improved ability to read the floor. Her growth in the mid-range, an area where she rarely looked to score early in her career, has been cited as a major factor unlocking more of her overall game, with some now ranking her among the league's better mid-range shooters, alongside players like Buchers and Courtney Williams.
Not being a bitter hater like 95% of this league, not named the stud buds. Yeah, it is what it is. Now, Yahoo Sports spoke about Caitlin Clark's dominance, and if she's making the Indiana Fever's offense unstoppable, I think it is unstoppable as long as Stephanie Bonehead steps out of the way when she's on offense. The job when Stephanie White got here was to just bring the defense. We didn't want your Connecticut Sun offense. We didn't want a hub. We didn't want our center playing point guard. We didn't ask you to put Caitlin Clark at small forward.
The broader takeaway from the coverage was that Clark's offensive game has continued to expand across multiple areas: downhill attacking, mid-range scoring, and playmaking, with her overall availability and role within Indiana's offensive structure continuing to be a central storyline of the season. A post-game incident from last night's Chicago Sky-Indiana Fever game has generated significant discussion online, involving former NBA player Enes Kanter-Freedom and WNBA player Natasha Cloud.
Offense, we didn't want a hub. We didn't want our center playing point guard. We didn't ask you to put Caitlin Clark at small forward. We didn't need any of this idiotic stuff you've done. Let's go.
Clark put on a show in the Fever's 113-90 shellacking of the Sky. 8 made 3. How are we feeling on this beautiful morning?
The first thing that popped for me was just how high the screens were set for Caitlin. It was around an average of 27 feet in the prior 2 matchups, or the prior 2 games heading into this was around 24, 25, somewhere in that range. And so I think with Chicago trying to lean into more of the full court pressure, you got more of those high early drag screens. First possession of the
Kanter attended the game to show support for Sophie Cunningham and a broader movement advocating around the definition of eligibility in women's sports. He was reportedly wearing a shirt with text defining the word woman and was present near a rally outside the arena connected to that cause before the game.
Makes a person have such a deep voice when they're a woman? Question mark? Just throwing that out there. But, of course, these players are triggered because they want, by God, men to be allowed to compete in women's sports. They literally want to destroy their own sport. Enes Kanter and Royce White are trying to make a point because the WNBA refuses to define clearly what a woman.
During the game, an exchange took place between Kanter and Cloud. According to Kanter's own account afterward, the incident began after Sophie Cunningham hit a three-pointer late in the third quarter, prompting him to react and celebrate from his seat.
WNBA refuses to define clearly what a woman is. He was wearing a shirt. Woman, noun, adult, human, female. He wore that shirt. This was Natasha Cloud going at Enes Kanter last night. Wait till you hear what she said to him, because she drug Sophie Cunningham into this. Wow.
With one of the players. The player was Natasha Cloud right there, walking up and
He said Cloud approached shortly after and confronted him, including a comment suggesting his support for Cunningham was rooted in romantic interest rather than genuine advocacy, an accusation Kanter denied, stating his intent was solely to support women's sports. Kanter said the exchange escalated, with Cloud reportedly raising her voice and using profanity during the confrontation, which he noted was surprising given the number of children and teenagers present in that section of the arena.
right there, walking up and yelling at him. You can see his T-shirt. It says, woman, noun, adult, human, female. He's standing up for women's sports.
So Natasha Cloud was happy that she hit a three-pointer, so she screamed at Enes Kanter. He got up.
And so she got triggered. He got tossed. And for no reason, you've got a radical liberal woman that gets in his face right here. I don't know if she's part of security.
Following the exchange, arena security asked Kanter to leave, and he said he complied after briefly asking for an explanation. He said he later spoke with police officers on site and reiterated that his intent that night was to advocate for women's sports specifically.
I don't know if she's part of security. I don't know who this is right here. I assume she works in the arena. I don't know. We're still trying to figure out why was Enes Kanter Freedom tossed out of this game. Because he made it clear he wasn't causing a disruption. And of course, this left-wing lunatic arena in Chicago, I mean, look, you voted in Lori Lightfoot, you voted in Brandon Johnson, two of the most worthless.
In the aftermath, some fans and commentators pointed to NBA conduct guidelines that generally restrict player behavior toward fans during games, including rules against entering spectator areas, directing profanity or abusive language at fans, and engaging fans directly rather than allowing arena security to manage disputes.
Two of the most worthless individuals to ever walk the earth. Rhodes, too much politics on this channel. I don't care. This cause is more important, and we've been covering this shit for 6 years. Do you think I was just going to fold? You got to be kidding me, right? Not a chance. Not a chance. So, Enes Kanter fully explaining what was said, and this is wild.
Enes, what happened tonight?
What happened tonight? Good question.
Critics argued Cloud's conduct during the incident may have violated some of those standards and called for the league to address it, though no official league statement or disciplinary action had been confirmed as of this reporting.
What happened tonight? Good question. So I was literally out there. I mean, I'm a huge fan of basketball, a huge fan of women's basketball, and I was there to watch the game, and I was really excited because I'm a huge fan of the Fevers. And so I was just literally just there to just watch the game. And then first half went amazing. I was having so much fun with my friends and stuff. And then it was towards the end of the third quarter. And Sophie Cunningham.
Cloud later posted a message of support for transgender youth on social media, reiterating her position on inclusion in sports.
Sophie Cunningham shot a three. And I put my hands up to celebrate, right? Literally a couple position later, Natasha came back and started screaming and yelling and said, she's not going to sleep with you. And I was like,
she's not going to. So in Natasha Cloud's mind, Enes Kanter's doing all this to try to get in Sophie Cunningham's pants.
That stance remains a point of ongoing disagreement, with Kanter and others involved in the Protect Women's Sports movement continuing to push for clearer eligibility definitions within the league, while Cloud and others have publicly pushed back against that movement's framing.
Cunningham's pants. Wow. Wow, you got to be pretty ignorant to believe all of that. Okay. But that's what she's worked up in her own little mind, right?
I am not trying to sleep with her. I'm just here to protect women and support her. And then obviously after that, she started yapping and she started to walk towards me. And literally I just got up and then I was like, I'm just here to protect women and that's all, right?
The broader debate around eligibility policy in the 1BA remains unresolved, and this incident has become the latest flashpoint in that ongoing public disagreement.